Makadi mose. Munhu wese aringotaura nechirungu. Munhu wese aringotaura nechirungu, but today is Africa Day. Today is Africa Day. Timbotaura nechishona, nechindevele, nechinambia. Sikhulume ngesindevele. Yesinambia, forgive me, but I would love to speak. But empowerment comes from indigenization. We can't expect the African child to be empowered while we are using English. Let us empower them locally. In their local cultures, local languages. We are not encompassing everyone. We are not incorporating everyone. So that Nasi Africa Day, change of something. Africa Day, let us try put it Africa material, not Tutara Africa Day, Tutara Chu. I am Belinda, Chikanda I am an intern. I'm doing development studies we are based at Mpumalanga because I'm also a member of Matupu Therapy Trust. I'll leave the floor to one of my best colleagues. Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. What and this at all you and don't say. So today Ndakamira say member your weekos, part of the Young Women's Coalition. Young Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe, part of the Young Women's Forum. Saka Isusu say weekos, we have two, not just divided into two segments. We have the Young Women Forum and the main forum, the elderly. Saka as because mainly we focus on, this is a movement of women, young women from as young as 18 years to 35, and then from 35 to Shirlen. Saka as because we come together as women in Hwange, this is Hwange chapter from 10 provinces, but now Nyashadzashe Hwange chapter. Saka from because we have our swag campaign, which focuses on strengthening women's participation in governance, as well as the NPA project, which mainly focuses on young women. As young women, we come together and we discuss different issues that affect us as members of the society. And it's sad really, when we look at some of these things that are happening in our society, and you think, is it because I'm lucky? But at some point you ask yourself, what if this is me? What if I'm the one who's telling the story? Saka, I've managed to just highlight a few, which I think are important points that we should look at. The plight of the girl child. I would have written a speech, but I think this is more, again, I like explaining too much, that's why. So, looking at some of the plight, as I was reading through some of the documents, the plight, forgive me for this. I think Pane is social distance, so I think this is fine. The plight of the girl child. The problems that we face as women, as girls, it starts from a tender age, being born as a woman. I think for some it's guilty by association, isn't it? You are already, guilty because you are a woman. Looking at the physical and the social implications that come with being a woman itself. We're talking about impoverishment, abandonment, uneducation, malnutrition, discriminated against because you are a woman, because of the gender stereotypes that exist in our society. That's saying because you cannot do this. You are expected from birth. When you're 5, already you're playing with dolls. You're playing house with my home already, we're cooking. Who told you that this would be your duty to cook when you grow up? It's the society itself. This is socialization. Even us as children, this is what I see my mother doing at home. I'm thinking, when I grow up, I want to do this. But I don't ask myself, why is it every day and my mom is at home? She's doing this. So as I grow up, I'm thinking, my duties at home. Because I don't have that role model. If my mom woke up every day at 17, then I'll think, no, I want to be a lawyer just like my mother. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. But because society limits me to the whole wife and mother aspect, I grow up telling myself, even at 18, I'm like, it's fine, I want to get married. But look at the guys. At 18, I want to go to college. He has a dream of a quality company. But what about me? I'm the girl child. So as a child, when you're growing up, they're saying good housework, and they're saying the better it is, the better it is. I was looking at one of the documents that they were talking about adultification of children. In our African culture, it's okay. If I wake up, I think I started cooking somewhere at 9. And like, yeah, sekulila, sekwansupekischala. And then my mom would walk around praising me and with but isn't this adultification of childhood? Some people would say feminists are coming up with their fancy words, unpaid domestic work. But let me prove a point to you today. Imagine a child, they were saying that from 5 to 9 years old, around the world, children from 5 to 9 years old, they spend an average of 4 hours doing housework. That same child will we have child A who's doing housework, and then child B. Child B, and they get paid, let's say, for every work that you do, they pay you $5. But Tina, as authorities, when we get there, we say this is child labor. But what about that child who spent 4 hours fetching firewood, cooking, cleaning, fetching water? Isn't that child labor? And then we're saying, think about it. Me now at my age, at 21, if I do all of these things, I start complaining. But what about a 5-year-old? Is he physically or is she physically stable enough to carry out all of these chores? Isn't that adultification of childhood? Because as children, childhood is the time to grow, to learn and to play. But if all of these things, if you skip all of these stages, are you still a child? You're no longer a child. Which means that the whole concept of childhood itself, it is meaningless. Some people skip these stages through forced child marriages, isn't it? Because starting from creche, you go to primary school, you go to high school. But if from primary school you jump that stage, from wearing your gown, wearing your graduation gown, to wearing your maternity gown, isn't it you've skipped a stage? Haven't you skipped childhood? Isn't that mentally deranging itself? From being a child to being a mother, what can a child teach a child? If I'm going to take care of a child at 14, what is it that I'm going to teach my child? At the same time, am I going to be a good role model to that same child that I had at 14 or at 12 years old? So these are some of the things that the African child, the girl child faces. This is not only in Africa, but we're also talking about even other places. In the Middle East, in Asia, anywhere. This can happen to anyone. And then this other interesting topic, where they say the girl child as an economic investment for future alliances. Some of our parents are looking at us and they're thinking, is that really what I'm worth? Some of these parents, they don't even educate their children because with her, especially the girl child, why would I spend so much money putting in Fixe University and she's going to get married? So what? So why should I waste my money? She's going to get married anyway. These are some of the issues that we face in our community today, where they favor the boy child because he's going to be a breadwinner. What about me? Can I not stand on my own and be a breadwinner? And suddenly they'll say I'm brainwashed by feminist ideas. And what in there? I don't hate anyone. So these are some of the issues. Don't place a price tag for your daughter Huta. She's going to get married. I see 7,000, 5,000 US dollars. But maybe when you look at me, don't see 7 cows. But look at me and say, I see my daughter being a graduate. I see a future lawyer. I see a future doctor. When you look at me, don't see but see me in my graduation gown. this is what I want you to see for me. This is what it means being a girl child. And so these expectations, they limit, how we view ourselves. Self-confidence. We don't have confidence in ourselves. Because, when you're growing up, they're telling you, if you make a mistake, you don't want to do your house chores. But do they tell the boys the same thing? If he makes a mistake, will they tell them, no. But it's also, throughout, we're being trained to be trophy wives. But no, we're going to be trophy entrepreneurs. This is what we're here for. This is why there is Hwange Youth Empowerment Initiative, isn't it? This is the whole point. So we have to change our mindset. One of these days I asked my cousin, she finished writing A-level. And I said, what do you want to do? And she was like, Sabona Kunagale. And I'm like, Sabona Kunagale, the future is now. You have to decide. If you don't make plans for yourself, somebody else will make them for you. And are they for your best interest? No. But it is time. It doesn't matter. Of course, I would go back to say globalization and stuff. We have rights. There's an issue that we're dealing with as Wikos. The issue at truck stop. And then you go to the girls and you say, but why are you letting these guys do this? Are you really worth $1? Really? Because from this you can fall pregnant. You can have sexually transmitted diseases. You can have HIV. Is my life really worth $1? I should say my rights and my body. Really? Does it just end here with $2 and you walk away? But what about the future? Are you thinking about the future implications of the actions that you're doing? That's why we also have, because we have the duty-bearer engagement. We engage with our policymakers. Why is it this is taking place? What are you doing? But if Sogyalile, and then what do? We campaign. We reach out. But after all this has been said, as the girl child, ask yourself, where do I see myself in the next 10 years? Do I want to be like my mother? Do I want to be like the girl next door? Or do I want to be like anybody else? But I stand as an individual person and I tell myself, I'm going to make it. Whether it's patriarchy or whether or what, I am still going to make it because I'm a girl child. It goes beyond the social and the physical implications that I'm a woman. And the last point would be sanitation. Many people, when you talk about sanitary wear and pads, and they start shunning. But the moment you say, it's a human rights issue, and it should be addressed. Look at it right now. Of course, we have organizations where I was really asking myself, where we have organizations who come and they teach girls how to make reusable sanitary pads. But let's think about the Semakaya. We have pit latrines. What are the implications of a reusable sanitary pad? Do we have bathrooms after that? I think women understand women's issues best. And do these different institutions really have a sensitive outlook towards women's issues? I go to the pit latrine. I'm using a reusable pad. What am I going to do in a pit latrine? But I would really like to applaud Hwange Youth Empowerment Initiative for their pet drive campaign. I think this is really a good initiative and it should keep on going on. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but let it be a two-way approach. These things, yes, you can use them at home. But imagine when I'm at school, 1 in 10 girls in Africa, they do not attend school because of periods. Imagine. And if this is like 3 or 4 days, 4 or 5 others going in for a week, and you've missed school. This leaves the girl child at a disadvantage. These are some of the reasons why most girls, they don't even finish school. You've missed out on a lot. And why? Because if the community and our families do not have a positive outlook on education, how then can I, as a person, have a positive outlook on education? But that's, I think.